second.
Oh, there we are.
Yes, that's correct. 1 second. Okay.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelts.
Weekend countdown.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, good morning to everybody here. I'm so happy to spend one more interview with such a good friend as you. Today, we'll be touching a very important topic that is someone who just did the GR11 plus the GR10 plus the HRP. It's a good friend, and we are also with Oskar, that many of you already know it from our last interview. And before I introduce to them, I would like to explain a little bit about why I'm having this interview. My name is Jordi, and I'm from the Dominican Republic, living in Barcelona. I am passionate about the mountain climbing for a long time now, and I have been dreaming to doing the GR11. The purpose of this interview that I'm conducting is to learn more about how to complete the GR11 and to know from people that have a positive value to share. I'm in love of the GR11 since the pandemic. I was looking at the video of the GR11 of Montaña Oculta Íñigo that are here with us, seeing us right now. A big hug from you, from me to you, Íñigo. And when I saw his video of Montaña Oculta, I said, you know what? I want to be there someday. So anyway, I will let Sarah, my teammate, so she can introduce who we have today. So Sarah, go ahead.
Good evening and welcome to today's live program. I am excited to bring you two incredible guests, both experts in the Pyrenees mountain range. First, we have Josef van Oskar, the founder of the One Good Road, who is an expert in the Pyrenees. Josef has combined the GR10, GR11, and HRP routes to create an amazing trail both in terms of kilometers and scenic views, as well as personal experiences which he will share with us today. Not only is he a seasoned hiker, but he is also an accomplished cyclist, undertaking amazing rides that are not for the faint of heart. Next, we have Oskar Brumelis, the founder of HikeMuch and TrailGoals.com, who has extensive experience exploring the trails of Europe, with a special focus on the GR11, where he and his girlfriend lived unique experiences. These two have tried to meet in the mountains before, but have never been able to coordinate a time in the Pyrenees, so today they are finally getting to meet for the first time. It will be a very interesting live event with two titans of the Pyrenees. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce our first guest for today's show, Mr. Oskar Brumelis. Let's give a warm welcome to Oskar.
Hey, Oskar, even that, I'm so glad to have you here, Oskar, and I want you to tell me a little more about you. And Oskar, also tell me why I invite you to be here in this live today. So, Oskar, go ahead.
Sure. So I'm Oskar Brumelis, and I also have a YouTube channel called HikeMuch, and I finished hiking the GR11 about 1.5 years ago, like the second to last season, together with my girlfriend. And yeah, I initially met with Josef on Instagram. I don't remember how we met. Like, we started talking about something, and then we just continued talking. And we eventually wanted to meet when I was doing the GR11 trail, but I don't know why. I don't remember why we didn't eventually meet. Maybe you remember.
Me neither.
Yeah, so we haven't really met in real life except for talking over Instagram. But yeah, Josef is also doing a lot of hiking in the Pyrenees. He's actually living there. And I've been only living in Spain, in the south part of Spain, and hiking all over Spain, but I'm not like native to the Pyrenees. Josef definitely has much more experience in that. So I'm very excited to join this interview together with him.
Thank you so much, Oscar. I'm very happy that you are here with us. Before I let Sarah to introduce our second guest, Joseph, um, I want Sarah to do it. So, Sarah, go ahead with introduce our second guest.
Good evening and welcome to today's live program. I'm excited
Wait,
to bring you two incredible guests.
one second. Let me tell you, Joseph. Right now, I can see that here in the live. It's sorry, Sarah, that I interrupt you. We are here with Montaña Oculta. Montaña Oculta is for me one Inigo. Big hug for you, Inigo. I recommend you to see his video, Joseph, because he did the GR11, but is the only person that I saw that did the GR11 for a reason. I will not make a spoiler about why was the reason, but
Ah,
no, Joseph, you have to see Inigo's Montaña Oculta video. It's incredible. So I just want to let you know that, and it's such an important person is here with us. So, Sarah, now, please, go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
And now, I would like to introduce our second guest, Mr. Josef van Nuding, the founder of the One Good Road. But first, I want to thank both Oscar and Joseph for joining us today and sharing their knowledge and experiences of the Pyrenees. I'm sure that this interview will help many viewers answer many questions about this incredible mountain range. Thank you.
Now, yes, thank you, Sarah. Joseph, thank you so much for being with us and to spend some time teaching us a great lesson about what we learned today. So, Joseph, go ahead. Who is Joseph? What is the One Good Road? Go ahead, Joseph.
well, that's quite a philosophical question. Who am I? Yeah, it's an honor to talk with you today. It's slightly overwhelming hearing my name so much. I'm not used to that. I prefer it to be a little bit more low key, but yeah. Who am I? Yeah, so I'm the founder of the One Good Road. I host that YouTube channel. I created that channel back in 2016, and I wanted to originally create cycling videos, and I got into documenting my tours by bike. And when I was about 12, I decided to leave school and go for a homeschooling route. And then throughout that education process, I decided that at the age of 16, I just want to be a bit of a rebel and go and cycle. So I got inspired to cycle around the world. I mean, it started off really small, and then over time, that trip just kind of kept snowballing over time. And then after about 4 or 5 years, I had done 45,000 kilometers by bike across the United States, Australia, New Zealand. And I filmed all that and put it on the internet on the One Good Road on the YouTube. And then when I long story short, because of Brexit, I had to make a decision because I'm originally from the UK. So I had to make a decision on whether I wanted to live in Europe or in the UK. And I decided France, and I decided to settle in the south of France, right in front of the Pyrenees. I can see them very clearly right now, in the Département de Ariège, and it's a beautiful area. I really like the communities. I like the atmosphere of this area. And I got inspired to hike on the GR10 and 11 and the HRP. To be more clear, I did like a connection of these trails. I didn't do them all individually. I connected them all up. And I made my own trip going from coast to coast, and I did it really flexibly. I did it in a very different approach because I live in the area, so I had that flexibility, which I really love. And in the past, I've cycled, across the US in like 38 days, and I said to myself, that's a bit fast, to be honest. I want to take a lot more of a relaxed approach to doing it. So I did the Pyrenees as long as I wanted to take, as long as I needed, and I did it in about a year. And I filmed that and put it on YouTube. So and here we are talking about the GR10 and the Pyrenees. So, voila, that's my story, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's incredible. When I reached to you, Joseph, because you made that's for the people that doesn't know the path, the hiking road that connects the Mediterranean Sea with the Cantabric. It's called, well, it have three different names. It's the GR11, that it's the what is through the Spain side, is the
Hmm.
GR10 that is crossing the from the French side, and it's the
Right.
HRP that it's going just in the middle. I mean,
Hmm.
in the crest of the mountain. So
Yeah.
there are three different paths,
Yeah.
and I saw many people who did the GR11, other one did the GR10, other one just a little bit of the HRP, but no one has did as I searched and I found you did the mix of the three at the same time.
Mm.
And what really drives my attention is Joseph, that and I suggest anyone to go to the onegoroad.com so everybody can see the map, because in the GR10 that you did, you also took like a huge but beautiful detour in the French side. I was amazed about that. Let me ask you the first question: why you decide to make the three of them? I mean, if you're living in France, why you don't just did the HRP with the GR10? I mean, why the GR11, and why, how that idea came from? Because it's not
Mm.
easy, Joseph, not because of the exercise. And Oscar that already did the GR11 knows that, but the
Yeah.
logistic. I mean, how was all that? I don't know, Oscar. That should be the right question, right, Oscar?
Yeah, I actually saw quite a few people doing it, like just like Joseph did, but of course not his route specifically. But when I was walking, I saw a few people who are like, "Yeah, I'm not going to be constrained just by a single trail. There are these three great trails that are right next to each other, and why should I be only constrained to one country?" And I think
Mm.
that's, in my opinion, like even better approach than doing just a single trail, like mixing all three together. That's something that I would love to specifically do the GR10 and HRP or some sections of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics that go into play when you're doing the planning of all that.
Yeah,
Because I mean, my background, I from the cycling I did, I never really followed a specific route. I just followed my gut feeling.
yeah,
And being a bit young at the time, 16, 18, I wasn't really that well. I didn't really think it through that well at the beginning, but bit by bit, you get familiar with it and you get better at it, and you look at the
yeah,
map and you're planning and planning and planning. So when I came to hiking in the Pyrenees, I already had plenty of experience of hiking several different summits in the Pyrenees, and I just wanted to make something a bit more personal to myself. I have a huge
yeah,
connection with the Cathar Trail. That was the first trail I did with my friend, and we hiked from here to the Mediterranean Sea. And then I realized, like, I can just keep connecting the trails again and again and again. So there's the logistics of hitchhiking, because you do have to be flexible with that.
yeah,
That's very important. And then you have to use certain applications to make those routes and then to get those onto your phone. It's good to have a paper map, but I used, like most people these days, I'm just using my phone as well. So I just kind of planned like this. I wanted to stick to the French side just because I'm getting to know the French language. I'm studying that at the moment. So for me, it's more important to be
yeah,
really immersed in the French part, and occasionally dipping into the Spanish just for fun.
yeah,
And yeah, that's kind of like I explained very much in detail on my website and in the video how I make those routes. Actually, I have a video tutorial explaining all of that in detail. I use different applications. And there's so many apps you can use now for doing that.
yeah.
It's
That's
amazing.
true.
And I put that now on Google My Maps. That's a very important, useful feature, because then you can load that into pretty much any device in the world,
Yeah,
can run that, and then you can have kind of a general overview of your map. So I like that. It's what I use. That's how I do it. Yeah.
interesting.
Joseph, let me ask you. Oscar and I has in one thing in common, that is that we love Gaia GPS, and I think in Europe should be Oscar and I, the only one that are using Gaia GPS. Which for you is the best navigation app for the Marvel? And I don't know if you know Gaia GPS because I saw
Yeah.
that you make a review about other apps, but what do you think about Gaia GPS, and what do you recommend navigating?
Yeah, I mean, I've taken a wee gander at Gaia GPS. It looks, I've seen that it's got a lot of features in it. It looks good. I'm aware that I think it has a yearly subscription, if that's correct. And for me, I'm the kind of person that like supports an application one-time fee. Like I just want to buy the app and then be done. Or I'm okay with monthly subscriptions or yearly subscriptions as long as it's really, really low. And then the best of all would be open source and free. So for me, I use OpenStreetMaps, which is a open source network, which everybody knows. Well, not everybody. I mean, in this sort of community, everybody knows that one. And then I'm using an app on top of that, which is called Mappy.cz, which is from Czechia. It's just like a random company that, well, to me, it's random, but it's just got a really nice UI, user interface, sorry, and
it also has
it's
good
very
maps.
clean.
It shows a lot of the side trails, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's showing like the national routes. It's showing regional routes. It's really well crafted. I think it's really beautiful, actually. But the thing is, I've noticed in the Pyrenees, you want to be careful when you're like following a HRP route on that map, and then alongside that you've got a GR10. But they're the same color on the map, so sometimes you'll be following that, and then you think that it's easy, that you don't need any special equipment, and then all of a sudden you're on like a sheer face of a mountain, and you didn't really expect that, and that happened to me a couple times. So you have to kind of be prepared for that. Sometimes the HRP is just quite advanced, and it's not very well marked. Even off the map, it's not that well marked. So it's just marked with like these little cairns, these little piles of rocks.
Yeah,
so,
it's true.
Yeah.
Oscar, were you doing the GR11, Oscar? But did you thought at some time that, hey, let me try the HRP? Did you want it, or I don't know?
No,
because in my case, Oscar, I didn't. Because in my
Yeah.
case, I would love it. But you didn't. But
Looking back at it,
did you think?
yeah, I would. Like if I'd walk it another time, as I said, I would be doing like probably a combination of all three different trails, not just a single one. But at the time, yes, I did hike only the GR11 because I had the guidebook for that, and I was prepared for that, and so I just followed it.
Okay. Because I saw the Joseph videos, and also the one from Sasha that she's posting right now. Wow, the views are incredible. But okay, I think we have a more or less an idea about what we're going to talk about. I have an introduction for Joseph, so let's see it. Let's officially start the program. So let's see.
This program is sponsored by Lightway. Lightway is a simple way. Our specialty is ultralight gear for bright adventures. The basis on which built gear: simplicity, lightness, versatility. We know that gear can be light, functional, and convenient. Lightway, lightness is where you are.
I would like to share with you how I walked across the Pyrenees mountain range, because I think it's actually a little bit different to the other methods that I've seen. Most commonly, people know the trails, the GR10 and the HRP. I actually took a very different approach. I combined many different trails. The trip took me about 30 to 40 days of walking, but it was over the course of a year. I managed to get other friends to join me. Luckily, my family is actually based in Ariège. I've lived here for 4 years now. I get to use this place as a base. I'm not far from the Pyrenees. In fact, I see the mountains every day, and I can actually almost see them right now. I heard many inspiring stories from friends and family when I was in the Pyrenees mountains hiking, or whether that was beforehand, when I was touring around the world, the idea was born to walk across the mountains from coast to coast.
Joseph, this is a great introduction, Joseph. Wow. Joseph, seeing your video, the images from you, I can see that you are always, most of the time, surrounded with great friends, and you are always smiling. It doesn't matter if you're climbing a peak. It doesn't matter like you are holding a rope, like you are there. You are always smiling. It's like Oscar, and I remember that in one of the Oscar part of his video, he spent the worst night. Everything was wet. Oscar mentioned, tonight there's a full of water in my tent, and he's drinking a coffee, smiling. And I say, wow, Oscar, you're always smiling. So in your case, Joseph, why it's so important hiking with friends, and how do you manage to smile all the time, even if the weather is cold, even if you are having a bad time? How do you and also with your guitar and your ukulele? I don't know how you and Oscar do it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, a quote comes to mind. When I was cycling in New Zealand, there was this German guy I met on the road, and he kept saying this line that's really stuck with me. It's like, well, it could be worse, you know? And the story is that like there was a storm going on while we were cycling, and it was really tough cycling into this wind, this really strong headwind. And I was kind of in this English British mindset, kind of like complaining about it all the time. And this German guy is just trugging along. He's like, fine. He's just like, well, you know, tout va bien, it's all fine. And, you know, he says it could be worse. And he's kind of right. And for me, there's this philosophy about, you know, if it's really challenging, at least, you know, it could always be worse than what it is. If you're still breathing and you're still, you know, warm enough and you've got enough food and water, you can still get by. You can still push on through. And I found that very helpful, that mindset. But of course, there are moments where it gets really too much, too challenging. Dealing with like these fears, because I have quite a vertigo thing where I'm like, if I'm on a sheer mountain, there's like the Passo de Malma that comes to mind when you're hiking on the Pico Aneto, and to get to the very top, you have to go through this Passo de Malma, and it's not easy. Yeah, for me, it wasn't that easy to get through that vertigo feeling, and you get palm sweaty, you just feel like nervous all of a sudden. So learning how to deal with that in that situation where you just kind of stay calm, you focus on the goal, you kind of it really allows you to focus in on those emotions and how you deal with those situations. And yeah, like there's obviously moments where it's not great and you're not smiling, but you know, you focus on the good aspects as much as you can. And that's how, and I love hiking with friends. I mean, it's a great dynamic when you can hike with other people. It just really, you know, a quote that comes to mind is from Henry Russell. Henry Russell is a guy who I want to shed a bit of a light on. He's one of the guys who's hiked across all of the Pyrenees mountains back in like the 19th century. Wow. And he hiked he was one of the first people to hike all of the 3,000 meter peaks back in that time. And he has a quote that I really like, and it's something which I'll just translate it in a minute, but it's "On est plus brave dans les montagnes quand on est seul. C'est un bonheur d'être à deux. Cependant, c'est une leçon d'être seul." And what he's saying there, because he's a French guy, what he's saying there is that we are more courageous in the mountains when we are alone, but it's really great to be with other people. But it's a lesson to be on your own. And that's what really comes to mind for me, is that when I'm hiking on my own, there are these moments where you really focused on figuring out the situation on your own. And when you're with other people, the dynamic is different. You're figuring out different situations. Camping with two people during the night is a different situation. And you can be strengthened by that together. but when you're on your own, it's just different. You really learn a lot about yourself. I mean, a lot of people say you learn about your demons within your head. There's a lot that I could go into about that. But I'll keep it at that for now. Yeah.
But Oscar, are you agree with him, because you also spent the same situation? You mentioned that some part of your, I mean, Joseph touched here a few topics that are very interesting. The first, when he mentioned that when he's crossing like a pass mountain and he has sometimes vertigo. You mentioned in your situation that the last interview that you also doing the GR11. There's one moment that you suffered a little bit about one of the steps. Did you also were smiling at that time, like you appeared in all your videos? Do you also have that positive attitude, like Joseph just explained right now?
I believe I was saying that there was like several parts of the GR11 that were. I was saying that it could feel dangerous for other people, but for me specifically, it didn't feel too dangerous. I actually used to have vertigo before, like when I wasn't used to the mountains. But as I kept like hiking in there, I kind of dropped that fear. Now I can go like very close to an edge and look down, and I don't feel scared. So that's what I was saying.
And Joseph also mentioned that that when he spent time hiking with friends, it's like magical things. In your case, you were hiking with your girlfriend, and then you saw or you felt the solitude of being hiking alone. In that case, do you think it was better to hike alone or to have a great time, like Joseph explained, with friends or with your couple?
I wouldn't say that either one is better. I would say that you need both.
I agree.
You need, because too much hiking alone, I don't think it, like I could hike alone for months on end, but when after a long time of hiking alone, when you're hiking with somebody else, it's just like a completely different experience. Those are two completely different things, and I think you need both of them. Because hiking alone specifically, as I said, it's like kind of advanced meditational exercise. You start to think about things that you don't think about in real life, like you start to think about, because you're focusing on all of these smaller, simpler things out of the trail. You're not thinking about your job or whatever. And when you're living a very, very simple life, you get down to like the roots of you, and you start to figure out what's important for you and so on. So it works kind of like meditation.
Seeing both of you, it feels so romantic. But in my case, being honest, before I say that, let me tell you, one of the part of Joseph's video, you put like you have a section, Joseph, in your video that is talking about hiking with friends and camping with friends, and you mentioned, Joseph, that sleeping, at one tent next to other, you sleep also better. You mentioned that in your video, and I was saying, and now listening to you, Oscar, and say, wow, this is romantic, but I don't know any friend that I convinced to, hey, come hike with me to the Pyrenees and let's have a crazy road. I don't know how do you manage, Joseph, those friends to come with you. I mean, it's so nice, like you mentioned, that when you found the fire, how do you say in English, bombero, the fireman,
the refuge.
No, the fireman.
The refuge.
No, you
were the fireman.
And you find your friend. You mentioned this was like an angel for me that I found someone, and I was saying to myself, "Wow!" Because I don't know nobody that want to come with me to hike and sleep in a tent. But yes, I assume that, for example, my dream come true is like that. My wife that is with us in the life, honey, I love you, and my daughter Valeria. My dream is that they can come with me someday. But the truth is, they hate it. They doesn't like, but. For me, it's like a dream come true, and like my family, I don't know any friend, but yeah, I think that it should be very pretty, and of course, I understand that having a great time, it's hiking is gonna be very good. But the three of us have something in common: is that we like to film, we like to make movie, and Oscar already explained that in his video, but now I'm going to ask you, Joseph. Oscar explained when he split from his girlfriend in Andorra. He said, "Now I will focus in filming more." Now, my question to you is, Joseph, when you are with friends, it's not because it's your shots like Wes and Oscar are so pretty, the cinematic shots, you cross it, but then you have to turn back to pick up the camera to continue walking. So when you are a friend, it's complicated to be all the time. Hey, no, wait, buddy, wait, let me go there to pick up the camera, because they will accept it 1, 2, 3 times, but at the end they say, "Hey, Joseph, I'm going to hack or I'm going to make a Hollywood movie." So
yeah,
how do you handle that?
My friends get absolutely fed up with that. I keep giving the camera to them. I'm like, "Can we just take 30 seconds to get this shot, please?" And he's like, "Can we just walk, maybe? That's why we're here." Yeah, so they get a bit fed up with that, but I think it's an interesting dynamic though. When you're on your own, I think when you spend a lot of time on your own, there's a certain point where you want to share the experience, share the knowledge, share the hike with somebody else. And I think that's what comes to mind when thinking about that dynamic. When you're on your own, it's more about looking inwards and spending, and some things are easier on your own. That's just a given fact. Like I think you sleep better because there won't be anybody snoring next to you. Not mentioning any names. But when you're with two people, though, it's more comforting because you kind of like huddled around a fire, and you maybe singing some music on the guitar or something, and there's an atmosphere to that where you feel comforted by that experience. You're kind of going through it together, as opposed to when you're on your own, you're just alone with your thoughts, and that can be challenging in itself. And I've done a lot of that already in the past, dealing with that, and I still think even to this day it can be a challenge to be on your own somewhere that's quite remote. Doesn't really matter where it is. You're still going to be alone with your thoughts, dealing with all that. So yeah, I think it's really nice to share that with other people. I think I'm a little bit picky who those people are, because I think the dynamic when you're talking and when you're hanging out is very important.
Yeah.
The chemistry is very important.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that answers the question roughly.
No, you're doing great, Oscar. It's an amazing answer. And also I want to talk about you, Oscar. I mean, how was your while hiking with your girlfriend, that connection between the two of you, and then when she split, how do you leave that? Because you can feel more, but do you prefer hiking with her? I mean, how was I mean, in a sentimental way, how was the difference? Because alone, you can find yourself, you can think about, concentrate more about you, but well, my question is, how do you manage? What do you prefer, Oscar?
So I would say that hiking together with your loved one is different than hiking with your friends. First of all, so I would.
Why, Oscar? Explain me that. Why?
I wouldn't mind completing the whole trail together with her, and maybe do a solo hike after that. But if I would be hiking, for instance, with friends, I don't know if I would like to continue the whole trail together with someone, because it's, I think, like, I finished in 36 days. I think that's too much for me. I can hike maybe several days with someone else, because as you said, Joseph, there are a lot of challenges that come with it. For instance, I found that, for instance, one that I noticed the most is that each one of us has like different times when we have energy to hike. So for instance, I could at 11 in the morning, I can maybe hike a bit more, then I'm down, then I can hike more, and so on. And when you're hiking with someone else, those levels aren't always at the same time. So when you're hiking alone, you definitely don't have to follow that. That's one thing, but there are many.
Okay, how about there's more positive things to hike with your sentimental partner than friend? I think the same. Joseph, before passing to the next question, I will make a few of them, and you can answer whatever you feel that's the best way to answer. Doing these three connections, these three path, and how do you feel an internal change in you? And this is like the formal question that I want to know, because doing the GR11 is like a success. Wow, I did it. I made it. I feel great. But yeah, you make a step up. I mean, you mix three paths. I mean, it's not normal. It's like a wow. So how that make you feel at the end? And another question. And this is the funny one, Joseph, because I'm funny, Joseph. I saw your video, and you mentioned that your backpack weighed 15 pounds. I think that's what and includes the food and the water. I think that's the way you
Kilos,
mentioned.
probably, right?
Kilos,
kilos,
15 pounds
Yeah.
would be very light. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Kilo. Yeah. It's because I'm using to use pound. But anyway, and then can you explain me how do you put a ukulele? I mean, with all that weight and so hard that it's already to carry a backpack.
Yeah.
How do you manage to put a ukulele on it? I mean, not the weight. I mean, the weight, the logistic to put it in the backpack. In which pocket? How do you manage? Anyway, go ahead, Joseph. Answer me the formal one and then the funny one.
Yeah, it's a funny dynamic that. Well, what comes to mind firstly is that when I cycle across the States, you get this feeling at the very end, like, okay, I've done it, but now what? There's this like, now what am I going to do next? And then there's this kind of first thought. It's like, well, I'll maybe do a bit more of this. And I just kept doing that for a while. I just kept cycling, and then I kind of realized I want to discover other things in my life besides just this one aspect of myself. I felt very kind of rigid in that and stuck. And I felt that a long time I put aside my music side. My parents have been opera singers for the last 20 years. So that my family comes from a very musical background. And I wanted to explore that a bit. So I picked up a guitar, and I firstly started just strumming some chords and getting into singing folk songs and singing songs I like. So when I spent time hiking, I really had this thought about maybe I can combine the music that I'm studying and bring it with me. Now it's not perfect. I'm still kind of working out how I want to do that, but I've figured out that you can take a guitarlele, which is literally what I have right here. This is a guitarlele.
That's the one.
So it's like a little baby guitar, and I mean it works, but the sound for me, I prefer a full size guitar. It's just got a lot more dynamics and sound that you can play with. Okay. So exploring that and getting into that for me has been very opening to kind of not only be really into the world of cycling, the world of hiking, and really loving that. It's also about exploring these moments where you're not doing those things, and what do you do in between that? Whether you like to write or to film or to do music or whatever that might be, photography, and then obviously jobs, that's another thing. But yeah, I got into the music, and that really opened up for me. So when I take the guitarlele with me, the logistic of that is that I simply strap it to the outside of the bag, because there's no space to put it inside, because the guitarlele is it's a box on all around. So I've tried putting stuff inside of it. It doesn't really work, because then the strings, you have to undo them, and then it doesn't really work. So you're a bit limited on the fact that you can't put it inside the bag. So I had to put it on the outside, and then occasionally I will take it out and play it, and it's a lovely feeling to sing and to play an instrument in the absolute silence of the mountains. There's a lot of beautiful songs that I want to shine a light to. A song I really love called Le Refuge, which is by Edmond Duplan, I think, and it's a beautiful song about singing about being in a refuge up in the mountains. And I have a recording of that on my Instagram, but I'm working on making a much more polished version of that, and really bringing those two things together. I love it. I really love that. Yeah.
Oskar, do you imagine bringing? I don't know, Oskar, if you play any instrument. But do you imagine, Oskar, that beside the huge backpack, the tent and everything, to bring in what's it called again, Joseph? Guitar lele.
This one's called the guitarlele because it's a mix, it's a hybrid. Yeah.
Okay. Oskar, now that you did it, do you imagine bringing a guitarlele with you? Do you have
any instrument?
I know how to play the piano and the
okay.
guitar, so I wouldn't bring the piano. But I do play a bit of guitar as well. I mean, it's pretty lightweight, right? So if you attach it to the exterior of your pack, it probably doesn't change things that much, right?
Well, the bag is I put a bag around the guitarlele to protect it. You can also take a uke. A ukulele would be even lighter, but then you're a little bit limited on like what you can do with it. But it depends. A ukulele would be like maybe 500 grams if you're lucky, and the guitarlele is a bit bigger, and the bag it's about 1 kilo roughly. A little under 1 kilo.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
and guitar, forget it. It's like people do it. I've seen people take guitars with them, but they're like also, twice the size of the bag. So like, no. Yeah.
How do you keep it from getting wet, though?
Exactly. That's my next question. How do you manage to do that?
Because it's a guitar is obviously affected by humidity and the strings and tuning and everything. But essentially, I have like a separate rain cover that I put over it. So I just I have another bag that I take the rain cover off that, and then I put it around the ukulele. So you got like two. And I think I have some Instagram photos that like show how I do that. And that's how that's the best approach I've found to doing it. There's probably better ways of doing it, but yeah.
No, being honest, I really like it, Joseph. When I saw you in the guitar with the fireplace, I really like it because I don't know how to play guitar, but it's like so romantic to be, in that. I told you, Joseph, and also told Oskar that in this December 31st, I spent it with my family, with my beautiful wife and 2 daughters in Ausat. No, let me pronounce it in French. Ausat.
Usat.
Okay, Usat. Yeah. I spent it in Usat, and it was in the Pyrenees. And during the night, Oskar, it was so cold. The cold breeze, and me in the fireplace outside in the garden, and with my Spotify account listening soft music. It was so great. And when I saw your video, Joseph, that I saw you, now in January, I take myself back to that time, and wow, it was incredible. But Joseph, let's go to the second question, because even that you are smiling all the time and you are like, so pretty and happy life, what was the worst thing that you suffered in that moment? We saw right now in the video that I put you in the middle of a huge fog that you barely can see. But beside that, what was the worst thing that you remember doing this combination route that you lived?
Well, yeah, it's a really good question. I think I've touched up on it already a little bit, but the vertigo thing is quite an interesting thing to deal with. And the fact that some trails, they look the same on the map, but they're not the same difficulty. So, occasionally you'll come across a trail that's, quite difficult, quite frankly, and it's maybe just too sheer that you can't get up it. So I've had a couple moments where that vertigo really kicks in. And I don't get like dizzy. I just get really nervous and sweaty personally.
Okay.
So that affects like you gripping onto things. And if you're carrying a backpack, that doesn't help your balance when you're dealing with those situations.
Yes, I mentioned that also. Yeah.
But when you've got somebody, I would recommend to people to, when you're doing these really technical parts, you should really do them with somebody else who's got kind of the same level as you when you're hiking. I really don't recommend it to hike alone on those difficult sections on the HRP, especially in winter. That's a real no-go. Unless you've got crampons and a pickaxe. I'm thinking of it in French. Those two things can really increase your stability and your security when you're dealing with ice. Luckily, it's not as difficult as the Alps. The Alps is definitely a different ball game from what I've seen. The Pyrenees is definitely a much more softer experience in that regard. And yeah, I think that's one of the things that comes to mind is that sometimes you might mentally think to yourself like, oh, what happens if I break my leg and I'm like on my own up here? And there's like the next road's like 20K from here. What am I going to do? So I have had moments where you have to deal with that mentally and you kind of like shut that off and you have to kind of deal with that mentally. And then when I was hiking with some friends in the past, if they break their leg, for example, how do you deal with that situation? Or if they sprain an ankle, or even if they get the flu? Because if you get the flu, you're like completely offline.
Oh yeah.
So that's definitely a real challenge dealing with that, and everybody's chemistry will be a little bit different. Again, I recommend a private consultation to talk about that and like what your specific needs would be. And I do offer that on my website. And I also talk about doing private guided tours in the region so that people are doing these things more safely. People can write me an email and you can get in contact with me for doing that in the Ariège area, roughly. So that's doing it with people is better.
Okay, Joseph. Joseph, so well, here you can see that I'm putting all your contact details in the screen. So Joseph, you offer a private consultation and someone that want to do the trail and are afraid to do it alone. So you can help them to create the maps and also to guide them. I mean, you're like a guide mountain.
I offer myself as like a private guide. So I just like do something in like more in the local area. And it really depends on each person, but they can write me an email and sort out the details with that sort of thing. And I really stick to mostly the Ariège department because it's just more practical for me. In other areas I offer is more planning the route itself. Some people have written emails to me that they need some advice on like what's the best time of year in the season and what's the best gear for that season and things like that. I had a guy from Switzerland who contacted me because he was wanting to do a guided tour with a group of young adults, about 18 or so, 16, and they were doing a planned route and they were planning to either go to Scotland or the Pyrenees. So they were asking my advice on that, and the guy said it was genuinely very helpful advice. And it's definitely something I can help with planning the route and what to take with you and what works for that specific person. Yeah.
Great, Oskar. For example, Oskar, you are really well known in the mountains and you are like an advanced user also. But let's imagine, Oskar, that but you have trailed many. I saw your Instagram also, Oskar, and you did many great hikes. But let's imagine that you already did the year 11, but let's imagine that you are an amateur and want to do the year 11, and you found a guy like Joseph that can help you to prepare that. Do you think that's useful to use someone like him to prepare your trip? I mean, do you think it's interesting?
Yeah, definitely, especially if you aren't used to the mountains. Because before starting the GR11, I had this like a lot of experience hiking in all kinds of different areas around Europe. So I knew what I was doing. I wasn't a professional, but I knew what I was doing. And if you haven't been to the mountains, then you definitely should get some kind of advice, whether that's, paying someone like Joseph to do like a consultation, or do you want to maybe spend more time and like get a guidebook and read through it all? But even then you can't like, you can't know everything. So I would say that
I mean,
talking with someone who knows what they're doing
exactly.
is better, definitely.
Exactly. If you can have someone that will
Yeah.
summarize everything, I will be like a coaching session, one-to-one. Wow, Joseph, that's great. I recommend everybody to see here. And also, Joseph,
Yeah.
I want to let you know that this video, it will be broadcast also outside YouTube, an important internal television. I will tell you later. So I would recommend that everybody should contact him. And Joseph, the next question is going to be very, very easy. I just want to ask you, why do you mean that? And the next question is the budget in your video, and I want Oskar advice about what Oskar think about this. Joseph, in his video, he mentioned that the cost. So you can see that I watched your video, Joseph. The budget to do this, it's between, well, it's around 8,000. Sorry, 8,000. 800.
Oh, geez.
No. 800 euros. But it can be more or less. It depends how you plan it to do it. It's
so many factors.
Exactly. So many factors. So my question is, Joseph and Oskar, which factors? I mean, now in my case that I want to do it, which factors? Because I have like a parameter from a guy who did the HRP, only the HRP. Well, he started a little bit in the GR11 and then he connected with HRP. And he said he spent around 3,000. Yeah, exactly. 3,000. Yeah, 3,000 euros purchasing all the items, everything, and the logistic and everything.
Well, there's a large, for example, a large factor is when you're hiking in winter, you've got to buy winter gear, which is not cheap. So crampons can go for like 80 euros. You need the pickaxe, which would maybe be another 80 euros. Okay. You need a ski jacket, which would be another 80 euros. You know, everything just keeps piling on top of each other. And another factor is that if you don't live in the area, like if you're from Norway or China or the United States, you've got to factor in that you've got to fly here, get the visa, where are you going to stay? So there's a lot of factors like that. And if you're locally living in the area, that's like the sweet spot. That's totally the best. Okay. That's summer would be the best season in terms of weather. It's safer and you can save a little bit on money because you can camp more often. That would be my advice.
Yeah, that's correct. What about you, Oskar? I know you already explained that, but explain us about your budget, Oskar.
I think the most, like my budget was around 1,000, I believe, with tickets to get to Spain, everything about 1,000. And I think that the most important thing that changes your budget is whether you're staying in refugios or whether you're staying in a tent, because staying in refugios can range from like the cheapest ones are like 35, 40, and the most expensive ones are 80 to 100, you know. So it's very, very expensive to stay every night in refugios. But a lot of people actually did it. A lot of people did it, especially older people.
Okay, perfect. So more or less we have an idea. Now, guys, we are in, for me, one of the most interesting section of this interview is how do you know each other? Okay. Let me put in context so everybody who's looking at us. First, I know Oskar, and I didn't mention Oskar anything about Joseph, but I already knew Joseph from the past. I mean, I talked to Joseph in the past, but when I talked to Oskar, Oskar agreed to do the interview with me, and perfect, that's great. But meanwhile, I was talking to Joseph. Imagine yourself, two guys from YouTube, from the internet. How I would imagine that they know each other. But anyway, one day I was talking to Joseph and I said, no, Joseph, because I will be interviewing Oskar from Hike March. And Joseph told me, wow, yes, I know him. I admire him. Yes. Actually, we tried to meet once in the mountains, but we couldn't. We were like, I don't know if I'm correct, but I thought Joseph explained to me, no, we were very close in the mountain, but at the end we couldn't. Oh, great. Anyway, and then I talked to Oskar. Oskar, I just met Joseph. I will also be interviewing him, and he knows you. And Oskar told me, yes, he's such a great guy. We almost meet also each other. We have been talking. I said, no, wait. And I said to myself, Oskar, while I'll be interviewing Joseph, I want you to be with us. Do you accept the invitation? And Oscar say, yes, of course. So anyway, this is more or less what we have here. But I want to know, I don't know who wants to start first. I want to know, how do you start, looking each other YouTube channel, and who decide to talk first and who decide to, hey, let's meet together, and what happened at the end? So go ahead. I don't know who wants to start talking first.
I can maybe try. I don't remember exactly the details so clearly. I just remember that I think I saw one of your videos. I think it was a video not through Instagram just yet, and I saw that you were reviewing some products which were quite similar to mine, and I liked your style. I liked your presentation. It's really quite top notch. And I thought, like, I want to try and see if we could maybe try and find a date that would work to maybe just see each other to hike. And because of just life, we just didn't manage to do that, and that's totally fine. But it would be nice if you're ever coming through the region again. Maybe we can find a time to come and hike either in the Pyrenees or maybe in Italy. Who knows? And I think I contacted you through Instagram, and we just started chatting on there a little bit, and we just exchanged information. Again, I don't remember the details. I think it was quite useful information, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we talked something about YouTube and thumbnails and stuff like that in regards to that. I don't remember specifically why you contacted me, but it was something in regards to YouTube. About some video, probably a review, right? And we just started talking, and we wanted to meet in the Pyrenees, but we didn't in the end. But definitely, if I will be in the area, or if you're in Italy, in the Pyrenees, sometimes, definitely, sometime, definitely.
Hey,
who knows?
Hey, I'm here. You can invite me. Hey, I'm here. You know,
of course,
I'm in Barcelona.
Oh yeah, you can come and hike with us. Yeah. Of course you can, Jordi.
Yeah. And I think I will be probably in the Pyrenees and in Barcelona as well. So
you know, do you know, Joseph, what happened to Oscar today? Oscar, I am starting asking myself, how's your ego? Because Oscar mentioned that the other day while he was hiking in the GR11, Joseph, Oscar was in a shelter, I think, or in a restaurant. Don't remember exactly. Oscar is going to explain that now. But Oscar mentioned, Joseph, that he was like preparing his backpack or whatever. You know, Joseph. Oscar, explain what happened when someone knows you from YouTube. Explain that to you.
Yeah, that's the first person that recognized me from YouTube. I was in a restaurant, like getting a coffee, a beer, and charging up my electronics. And I was sitting outside, and I noticed there's this one guy like that's weirdly looking at me. I can see like with my side vision that he's looking at me, and I made a shot that I'm drinking like a coffee. Okay, he said nothing to me, and I just like after 20 minutes I went away. And the next day he was hiking past me, and he started talking to me. And it turns out that he was a subscriber, and he didn't know whether that really was me or not, because I had more beard, I had a face mask on then, I believe. He also just watched one of my reviews, and he was a subscriber, and that was the first time somebody recognized me.
So Oscar, I'm questioning how's your ego, because a follower recognize you. Then I talk to you about Joseph that he knows you. So I mean, you're important, Oscar, as I can see. You're becoming important, Oscar.
I wouldn't say that it's important, but if you're in this space of like hiking the Pyrenees, I follow quite a few people, and I think there's this group of people that kind of knows each other from YouTube and Instagram.
It's true.
Who has hiked the GR11?
And
some of them you'll also be interviewing. I also know them.
Yeah, Oscar, and I don't know if she's live right now with us, but no, she promised me that she will see this interview. Elena hikes. I talked to her this morning, and because I will interview her coming soon. I don't know, maybe it's gonna be the end of February or March, but I will interview her. And Oscar, sorry, Joseph, Elena Heights is a hiker girl that Oscar follow her. So, well, Oscar, we are proud to be with a YouTuber like you with us, right, Joseph?
Yeah.
I mean, Joseph has more subscribers, so we're proud to have him.
Oh, it's just numbers, man. Like it's all...
I know.
Oh my God! Now we are, guys. We are reaching to almost the rest of the end of this amazing time. But before go to the end, I would like to talk a little bit, Joseph, about your experience in cycling, because I don't know. I have been seeing your bike roads and the kilometers that you have completed on each road that you made. I'm no doubt that it's not at the reach of everybody. So before give you the opportunity to talk about your cyclist world, I would like to share a small part or intro video that I cut from your main video.
Okay.
Yes. It's very short, but I like it because I tried to do bike in the Joseph. I tried to do bike in the past. Jesus, so hard. I mean, I tried once, Oscar. I tried once. I did like 70 kilometers. And when I step out from the bike, I was like a cowboy with a huge pain below, a huge pain. And I talked to my friend, and she told me, because he do mountain bike, and I say, why it really hurts down there? I said, no, it's because, I don't know how to say it in English, but we'll try to explain. It's because you need to create like a callo. You need to create over there, like it have to become hard.
Oh, a callus or something?
A callus. And I say, okay. And he explained to me, yes, but if you stop doing bike, that will go on. I will have to start again. And I say, no. Anyway, forget about that. Jesus, when I did that 70 kilometers, I have to be with my open leg, in my bed. And I say, Jesus, what a pain. Like I was like a cowboy for, I don't know, maybe a week. But anyway, let me put this video because it's very good. That I really like it. So let's go there.
All right.
Let's go. So, Joseph, can you explain us a little bit about your back roads? How you started doing such a long roads? I don't know I don't know if this is mountain bike, cycling bike, ecotouristic bike. I don't know the correct name, but whatever it is, wow, you are a real professional. Tell us about that, please.
Well, I in the introduction, I gave a little bit of a touch up on that story, but it's mainly because I was inspired by a Dutch family that's obviously in the Dutch world. There's a lot of cycling,
yes.
And I had to get used to the bike. I had a huge fear of cycling in the beginning. I just couldn't bear the idea of even riding down the driveway when I was young. But then, little by little, I got into it from this Dutch family that we were living with at the time. And they really inspired me by their stories. They had cycled from where they lived down to the Alps. And I thought, like, I want to do that one day. I just want to feel that adventure in my life a bit and just explore. And I just went for it. I just kept... I didn't expect it to like turn out the way it did at all. There was one dream I had after I rode across the UK, which is not a huge distance from when I'm thinking about it. But but at the time it was far, and I had this one dream that I'd want to cycle across the states, and I watched Forrest Gump, which everybody knows. And there's this scene where he's like running across the states back and forth, and I was like, I want to know what that kind of feels like. Now, biking isn't exactly the same. Obviously, running is far more challenging. But a lot of benefits come from cycling. You know, you can carry a little bit more gear. You're a bit more independent. You can get from places a little bit more with ease. And I just kept adding to the trips. Like I wanted to go to the States. My parents own a house with some friends in California. And every time I would go to visit, I would use that as like a base, and then I would like add trips from that. So I was very lucky and fortunate, grateful for having access to that experience. And I really just I really wanted to explore a little bit in my own way, in my own areas. And hiking came on later. And the kind of bikes I use really depended. Like I would use whatever I had access to. In New Zealand, I got access to a mountain bike, which allowed me to cycle off-road more easily. Road bikes were great. I love them as well, but you're always dealing with cars more often. And I have been hit by a car a couple times. So you do have to deal with the fact that you're sharing the road with other drivers, with other people. And it's not a great experience. I even... there were some really not some great stories, which I explain in detail on some of my videos with like car accidents. They're not great memories, and they make you realize that like it's a real challenge dealing with like other cars, other vehicles on the road. So for me, when I got into hiking, the best benefit of that is that you don't deal with any of that. I also noticed that my posture felt a lot more improved, because when you're on a bike, you're really fixed in this one position all the time. And I don't think that's so healthy if you're just fixed in that one position all the time. So I think it's important to do a little bit of running, a little bit of walking, a little bit of cycling, not just one aspect of the sport. You got to like have that variety. So that's I think that roughly covers some of it, and I explain a lot. I have the documentaries which explain very much in detail what equipment I use, what bikes I had, and what the planning was like, and all this sort of stuff. I think that roughly covers it.
Well, you know, Oscar and Joseph, I saw in the news here in Spain yesterday that the daughter of an important cyclist, Spaniard cyclist, that he went to the Tour of France and all that, was dead because a truck just passed through her. That was yesterday. For this record, this interview is being made in February 11th, 2023, and that happened yesterday. It's very sad. And what about you, Oscar? Do you thought some time to ride a bike and to do?
I've been on several shorter. I've been on several shorter bike trips with my friends with very unprofessional gear, just regular bikes. I think the first ones we even went with our backpacks and stuff, just for several days, because in Latvia, which is where I'm originally from, there are a lot of forests, and basically there's this one capital, and the whole other part of the country is just forests and fields and country roads, and there aren't a lot of trails because a lot of it is private property, and the best way to explore it is to do it with a bike, because you can see a lot more, you can move around more. So that's my only experience, but that it's something that I would like to do in the future. But if you want to start biking, you have to invest a bit more in a good bike and stuff like that. So
a good bike is a very good piece of advice. Yeah,
definitely. Because my friends, like, we went on recently for 2 days on a bike trip, and just this autumn, and two of my friends had good bikes, and I tried their bikes on, and man, it's like night and day. It's crazy how big of a difference a good bike can give you.
Yeah, if you're looking for like that sort of thing and getting into it, you've got to spend something in the minimum range of like 700 euros and get like a decent
But that's
bike,
for
whether
a
that's
used one, right? Or for a new one?
Well, I would say even for a new one, it depends on exactly what you're doing with it. Like Decathlon do so. I'm not sponsored by Decathlon, but they do some really decent, low budget, decent quality bikes from the Triben series. And they have like a Triben 100. No, what's it called? The 500. Which I've done some reviews on, and it's pretty decent for the money. If you're starting out, you should get one of the brand new series that they have. And I'm not sponsored by them, but they're pretty decent quality. And there's a lot of other ones you can recommend. But yeah, you gotta. I think a good one is also Fuji bikes. They do really good quality bikes. And then obviously, there's Cannondale and Canyon, and there's a lot. There's a lot of different brands, but you got to get like something that fits you, whether you're into like off-road a lot. Maybe you want a gravel bike. Maybe you want a road bike if you're stuck into sticking to the roads. Maybe you want a mountain bike to stay completely off the roads. But if you're going to spend less than 300 euros, you're not really going to get a long-lasting device. And the comfort will change. The equipment's durability will change as well. So the more you go up in price, but as soon as you reach let's say the $2,000 mark, that's where you get this sort of law of diminishing returns.
Okay.
Of course,
yeah.
But Oscar and Joseph, not only the bike, also the clothes, because when I suffer from the pain down there, my friend told me, no, it's because you have to use like a special, how to say in English, culottes.
They're called bib shorts.
That's correct. And I said, yes. What I did, Joseph and Oscar, I just went to AliExpress and I purchased a €2 pound of them. And I received it.
€2, right?
Yes. No, wait, Joseph. I said, whoa. And I saw a lot of colchas, a lot of that very, how to say in English, colcha.
I don't know. Sorry.
Okay. I mean, a lot of protection. I thought to myself,
wow, the foam. Yeah, the foam, the gel.
The gel. And I said, whoa, for €2, this is incredible. What? It got broke. And I'm into my next ride. And I called to my friend, no, but it doesn't work. And he said, Jordi, how much does it cost? €2. No. The normal one, it's from 100 and up. What? 100?
Well, you could spend maybe 30 and then it would be enough. But yeah, he's right. 100 euros, you'll get a really good pair.
And the second, Joseph, and I don't know, because if maybe my cultural way of think that I'm from Caribbean and I take a shower 2 times per day, even in winter. But he told me, but do you use it with underwear? I say, yes, of course. I put my underwear and then I put this pants. No. It have to be without the underwear. I say, nah. This is so dirty. This is not for me. No. I mean, how can I put a leggings or whatever with that underwear? No, I can't. So, Joseph.
Well, yeah, you're kind of wearing underpants which have pads in them, so they look like diapers, basically. Yeah,
true.
They're not very attractive. No.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
They make your legs look good, though. Yeah.
So now going to my
by the way,
no, go ahead, Oscar. Go ahead. It's because sometimes Oscar, Joseph got free and he come back.
Sorry. I can hear you. Yeah.
Go ahead, Oscar. What's your question, Bobby?
While we're on the subject, I actually have like one trip that I really want to do with a bike, which is like starting from the northern part of Europe in northern Norway. There's this the northern tip, and I want to go down to the southernmost tip, which is the
Nordkap. You probably mean that.
Yeah, and down to Spain to the southernmost point. That's something that I really want to do someday with a bike.
Yeah. I've actually I've done that, which is kind of weird to think about.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
that.
yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about that is that I mean, you'd probably want to pick going in the summertime because you won't get
Yeah,
through
definitely.
you already know that because you're from Latvia, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So Latvia is very similar to like Finland's kind of climate. So you'd be dealing with that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah, and you'd want to get some kind of bike that's just durable, and probably a gravel bike would be ideal.
yeah.
And gravel bikes, you can always get a road bike and then just put wider tires on them. And then as you're
Wow.
going down south, you'll notice that like the climate will change dramatically.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of factors. You can have on my
Yeah, I think
website
that's
actually, which is being displayed right now. I
yeah, that's
show
actually
the
crazy.
route
I'm
is
watching it
displayed,
now. Yeah,
and
you've
you can
biked a
see
lot.
the route very clearly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, I offer private consultations about these sort of things, which is quite handy. Shameless plug.
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess
Joseph,
the most appealing aspect of that is,
wow.
that you get to see how the climate changes from the
Yes.
northernmost part of Europe to the southernmost.
It's a
I
big
guess I would
difference.
like to
Yeah.
do it actually the other way, from starting early spring in the south part and finishing maybe in the summer. Not early spring, but going it from
Yeah.
south to up. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be a decent time to do it for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Joseph,
You'll get long days in summer. I mean, like seriously
yeah.
long, like to the point where the sun doesn't set and you can ride I once rode 300K in one day. So you can
Wow.
really
Yeah,
go quite far, you know? Yeah.
yeah.
Joseph,
Yeah.
I'm going to the last question.
Mm,
Now that you have been in the cycle world and now you are in the hiker, I mean, or both at the same time, which one
yeah.
do you prefer? Which one do you feel more? Wow, I like this much.
Both have their benefits and their drawbacks because they're a little bit different to each other.
Okay,
When there's a pro in cycling, there'll be a con in hiking, and vice versa. I think for me at the moment, I really like hiking. Maybe just that little bit more. I think for cycling is great because like you can. I use it as a mode of transport. I'll do my shopping with it. I'll go down to the local shop.
okay,
But
okay.
when it comes to like just spending time in nature and very simply, I like what actually in tandem with that running and hiking can do. You can really get off the trail. You can go and cross a field. You can go up a
Yeah.
mountain that's really sheer. I love those possibilities that you can do with hiking, and you also get to know the local environment and the culture, I think, more in depthly. And cycling, you kind of breeze through it sometimes a bit too quickly for me. But when you compare it to driving, I mean, cycling is hands down much more,
Yeah,
in depth, and you see the area much
of
more as
course.
well. So, yeah.
Okay, got it. And now finally to the last question.
Mm.
Joseph and Oscar. Yeah, my next question is for you. Is there's an opportunity in your next project to do a route with Oscar and me? And I have to admit, I'm not quite sure how that route will turn out since both Oscar, you and I love to make movies. So I'm not sure how long it will take us to complete a 20 kilometers road through the Pyrenees, but we could find out together. So let's make it a fun and adventure experience. And of course, I will invite Sasha, that is looking at us right now, and of course, I will invite Al. Being serious. Oh, that was a serious question. But being serious, Joseph, what should be your next project? And what are you working right now? What we will see you on right now?
Yeah, at the moment, I'm focusing on my music studies at the moment. I'm really into getting into that and getting that right, and working
Okay.
on getting into recording later on. And in terms of the hiking world, I'm really interested in just adding upon what I've already done, and exploring further, kind of like just slowly increasing the trip like I did with the cycling. And I'm focusing at the moment quite a lot on France because I have my residency permit and I want to stick to the French culture as much as possible.
Okay.
I've been interested a little bit in Corsica. There's still a calling to my home roots, which would be in Scotland. In the UK, I should say more precisely. And there's some hiking routes in Scotland that do interest me a bit. But really, in the next few years, it's more focused on maybe connecting up parts of, the Montagne Noire, which is the Black Mountains, up to the Alps maybe one day, and exploring the Alps a bit, and really getting really deep into the French part for me. It's a real dream to get into that. So we'll see.
Okay, where is the Black Mountain you mentioned? What is located?
But between the Pyrenees and the Alps, there's actually another mountain range which is lesser known, which is the Massif Central. Roughly, it covers like quite a big area, if I say that. And the Montagne Noire is just a very small portion of that down in the south, which is just north of Carcassonne. And it's a really nice little mountain range. It's just like kind of cute on its own, and it slowly just goes up north and heads towards I don't know how to roughly say that, like towards I would say Léon, probably roughly. And then it slowly connects up to the Alps roughly. So that's another mountain range in between the two. That's interesting.
Okay. And Oscar, what about you? What's going to be your next project? I mean, you are working in trail also. That it's. I have to say, I just purchased from Oscar in trailgoals.com and a beautiful map from the GR11 that I have it in my office in Miami. Thank you so much, Oscar. I really like it. The quality is so good. But talking about the your YouTube channel, what are you working on? What's going to be your next project, Oscar? Now that tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. On Hikemush, I haven't really published anything for quite a while. I think my last video is almost a year now old.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I haven't really been active there, but I will be active soon again. But my plans are to turn like the channel Hikemush kind of into more of a branded channel. It already is a branded channel now, but I also I have made and I will be posting some personal stuff as well on my own personal channel, which will be my surname, Oskar Brumels. And I'll be posting not only about hiking there, but also about sustainable living, about traveling, whatever. If I do any bikepacking trips, about that. So, because I'm going to separate those two fields, and I will become active soon again. Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
great.
And in terms of hiking, my next project will be there's this very long trail that goes across Italy called the Grand Italian Trail.
Wow.
Which is 7,000 kilometers in total distance, which is a lot. I'm not going to do all of it, but I'm going to do a part of it which goes next to the place where I currently live, which is like Abruzzo region, Abruzzo and Lazio. It's 340 kilometers, I believe, and it goes from south to north across basically the highest part of the Apennine mountain range. Okay. I'm going to do it together with my girlfriend and our dog, and we'll be doing it after a few months when the snow melts a bit.
So
cool.
Yeah.
So we will see that in your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, I will be posting that on my personal YouTube channel. I'll link to it from my branded one.
Oh, yeah. Great. Well, before finish officially this interview, let me do a recap. The first. We will arrange to hike together, and I will invite Sasha, that she's looking at us. Sasha just wrote, yeah. I will invite Al, and I don't know how it's gonna turn that hike, because all of us like to talk a lot and like to film a lot, but for sure it's gonna be good. So Sasha, be prepared. And then I'm over here. There's all the info from Joseph, so he can make a one-on-one coaching session.
Exact. Yeah.
I recommend the Oscar Trail Goals website with a great maps. Not because he's not paying me, but I just purchased one of them and I like it. And I would like to make a final proposal. Is I don't know when, but when I finish my GR11 HRP and GR10, I would like to invite you again to have a conversation with all my guests, Sasha, with you also. I'm gonna talk to you about my experience. Would you accept that invitation for me? I don't know when it's gonna be, but do you accept that invitation again to join me in my channel?
Of course, George. I do.
Yeah, sure. It would be like after your supposed trip.
Yes, after I finish it, I want to tell you my experience and all the help that you bring into me.
By the way, do you want to finish
it
this year?
Yes, I will. Since because of my job, I cannot and I have a beautiful wife that is looking at me right now, and two daughters. I cannot disappear for 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. So I need to do 3 days or 4 days or as much 5 days, and then coming back. No, but also because of my job. And then I will continue with doing that. And I will start this Holy Week in April. I will start doing like the tough part that is the Cap de Creus and that area. And my idea is when I reach to Lavallol, I will turn right to connect to the Canigó Peak. And then I will be walking. So I will start this April and I hope to end it in summer. But if not, I'll have to be doing like step by step. So I don't know when I'm going to finish. The good part of this, Joseph, Oscar, and Sasha, that is looking at us, and Montaña Oculta, is that I will my video. It will be about how my daughters are right now. That one is 15 years old and the other one is 11, and how they will be when I finish this trail. So it's going to be a very sensitive and emotional movie because I'm very romantic and I really love my family, and I want to do that. Also for my video, I will have the interview of the Jordi Ramot, that is the owner of the Wikiloc. He will join me because this is more or less this is what I want to show, that like the before and after of my family. And it's like a dream come true. I have been, Sasha said, it's a good idea to do the coastal part before it gets to, that's correct, Sasha.
She's absolutely right.
Yes. I saw that also are looking at us right now. Andrea, he's a Polish guy that he suffered a lot doing the beginning of Cap de Creu. At the beginning, because he started in the late July, 1st of August, and I saw that, wow, it's very tough and very tough. And even that I'm from the Caribbean, that Dominican Republic is in the Caribbean, here the summer, at least in this side of Spain, it's like a hell. It's so hot. I mean, I'm not used to it. Oh yes, I don't know, Joseph and Oscar and Sasha, the reason, but Jesus, maybe it's because the Spaniards are not, I don't know the French side, because I've never been in the summer. I've been in France, but in winter. But
it can get 40 degrees if you're unlucky.
40 degrees, Lord, this is too much. This is too much. And during the direct sun, wow, it's too much. It's too much. But anyway, I want to thank you, Joseph and Oscar. It was a pleasure to having you both in a live program. Thank you for sharing your experience and insight. I truly appreciate it. And I'm so happy to meet you, both of you. And I hope this is your beginning of a beautiful relationship like I have with Sasha and all. And I would like to turn over to my colleague, Sarah, for some final words. And I don't know, Sarah, if you want to mention something or have any other questions. So Sarah, go ahead.
Thanks, Jorditos. No, I don't have anything else to say. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Joseph and Oscar for participating in today's live event, where we learned so much about combining the GR10, GR11, and HRP trails in the Pyrenees. It was a great pleasure having you both there and sharing your knowledge and experiences. I hope that someday Josef, Oskar, and Jorditams can have the chance to go on a trail together and meet in person. In the
I hope so.
meantime, be sure to visit theonegoodroad.com to explore Josef's world and trailgoals.com for Oskar's amazing posters. On behalf of myself, Sarah, and Jorditams, we look forward to seeing you at our next live event, where we'll be joined by the famous mountain guide Mario Badosa, who will share his insights on the 5 most important wonders of the Sierra de Coisarawa.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, that's gonna be this Sunday. I will have a professional guide who will share with us the most beautiful things to see in Collserola in the north of Barcelona. So, guys, thank you so much. See you there. Sasha, thank you so much for supporting us. A big kiss for you and for Tio. Inigo Montaño Corta, thank you so much. My mom that is here and everybody that is writing me in WhatsApp right now. Thank you so much and have a great time. See you guys.
Thank you for inviting us.